Stop everything you are doing for just 10 seconds. Take a deep step back into the silent space of your awareness. Pay close attention to the exact physical, physiological, and visceral reaction that takes over your entire biology. The moment you see a close friend, a corporate colleague, or a peer on social media achieve a monumental life milestone today, notice the sudden, cold spike of resentment that shoots straight through your gut, the involuntary tightening of your jaw, or the exhausting, immediate urge to locate a hidden flaw in their achievement, a stain on their character, just to minimize their success in your own mind to soothe the bleeding worth inside yourself. Watch how you navigate your adult social interactions, perpetually locked in an unwritten, exhausting race, a lifelong marathon of hidden competition, where you are unconsciously addicted to scrolling through your phone to hyperanalyze other people's lifetime. You feel a deep, suffocating wave of complete inadequacy and lack of oxygen whenever someone else gets the spotlight, the praise, the promotion, or the grand reward. You look at these self-destructive adult behaviors, or a polarizing scarcity mindset, your toxic social envy, and your total inability to celebrate the success of your teammates, and you tell yourself a standard, highly comforting cultural lie. I'm just naturally competitive. I live in a ruthless modern market economy driven by selection. I have an aggressive, performance-driven, and ambitious personality. But if we perform a deep, forensic clinical post-mortem on this chronic comparative anxiety, we uncover a hidden, bleeding fracture from your domestic history. Your social envy is not a product of the modern corporate world. It is a long-standing biological survival mechanism. You did not consciously choose to view human connection as a zero-sum gladiator arena where another person's life equals your own execution. Long before you entered the adult market, you were drafted into a brutal, unspoken warfare right inside your own living room. You were placed inside an ecosystem where love was treated like oxygen during a famine, fighting a war known as sibling rivalry. Every time you view another human being's victory as your personal erasure today, your nervous system is simply running a default software code, written decades ago, during a childhood where your biological survival depended on beating your own flesh and blood. To decode the true, terrifying psychology of sibling rivalry, we must aggressively shatter the romanticized societal delusion that blood relation automatically equals emotional safety, collaboration, and mutual celebration. In the clinical reality of developmental psychology, a household containing multiple children is not a peaceful sanctuary. It is a highly volatile, predatory laboratory where individual entities must compete for the most valuable, limited currency on Earth: parental investment. In a healthy, functional family infrastructure, parental love operates like an endless expanding universe, providing equity and unique emotional attunement to each child. But because human parents are fundamentally limited, possessing finite time, finite financial resources, and highly unstable emotional bandwidth, the domestic ecosystem quickly registers to the infant brain as an environment of acute scarcity. To a primitive, dependent childhood mind, parental attention is not an emotional luxury. It is a life-saving biological asset. In our evolutionary history, a child who lost their parents' favor was a child who was not protected from predators or fed during famine. Your infant brain tracks parental praise with the exact same neurological urgency that a wild animal tracks the last waterhole in a desert. The presence of a sibling means one terrifying thing: there is a competitor in my oasis. If they drink all the water, I will die. The rivalry is a raw, survivalist war fought by a terrified nervous system trying to secure its right to exist before the threat of erasure. This domestic competition physically and chemically warps the architecture of your developing brain, carving unyielding laws of evolutionary programming into your adult psyche. The first law is the strategy of sibling niche differentiation. Children within the same family occupy entirely different behavioral niches to maximize parental investment. If the firstborn occupies the niche of the academic overachiever, the secondborn's brain realizes that competing in that exact matrix is statistically dangerous. The secondborn's brain deploys a massive pruning mechanism, force developing a different niche to gather attention, becoming the rebellious rebel, the eccentric artist, or the family clown. This neurochemical conditioning hardens into your adult software. When you enter a workplace today, you are unable to exist where someone occupies a similar niche. If someone else is labeled the smart one or the creative one of the team, your system undergoes a sudden, unexplainable identity crisis. Your childhood programming forces you to immediately withdraw or aggressively pivot, because your survival brain dictates that sharing a niche means your emotional resources will be cut off. In that moment, your survival brain believes that if you do not find a new niche, you will cease to exist. The second law is the hijacking of the scarcity matrix. When a parent continually plays an active or passive game of comparison, praising one sibling's grades or looks while ignoring the other's effort, they hardwire the brain's reward center into a zero-sum grid. Dopamine, the molecule of satisfaction, is no longer released based on self-growth and intrinsic curiosity. It is released only based on relative victory over your competitor. As an adult, this creates a state of relational anhedonia. You lose the biological hardwiring to enjoy your own life, progress, independently. When you achieve a milestone, your system doesn't register peace or happiness. Your hypersensitive amygdala immediately scans the horizon to check if your peers or your siblings are beating you. You are structurally condemned to live as an existential gladiator, forever measuring the value of your oxygen by the size of another person's lungs, never knowing what enough means. But if we perform a deeper, more forensic post-mortem on this dynamic, we confront the most tragic, permanent, and cruel dimension of this trauma: the triangulation complex and sibling de-identification. In structurally dysfunctional family systems, emotionally immature parents actively weaponize sibling rivalry to maintain their own fragile sense of absolute control and ego validation. They execute a highly toxic clinical maneuver known as triangulation. Instead of dealing with their children directly, they speak through the sibling line, projecting their toxic dynamics. They turn one child into the golden child, a flawless emblem of the family's status, and the other into the scapegoat, the trash bin for the family's collective anxieties, failures, and insecurities. This toxic engineering splits the bloodline permanently. The blinded children stop looking at the parent as the source of the structural injustice. Their primitive logic forces them to project all their terror, rage, jealousy, and helplessness directly onto each other. Sibling envy becomes an internalized narcotic, poisoning the bloodline from within. When you spend decades viewing your own flesh and blood not as a source of warmth or lifting, but as a dangerous predator who is actively trying to push you off the balance beam of existence, your adult social filter becomes completely warped. You carry this warfare into your adult friendships and corporate structures. You transform every healthy team into a copycat script of your childhood living room. You become entirely unable to trust intimacy and genuine teamwork, permanently anticipating that any person who gets close to you will eventually turn into a competitor, who is secretly plotting to steal your crumbs, leave you invisible, and cast you out into the cold shadow of abandonment and rejection. You cannot go back in time and rewrite the scarce architecture of the house you grew up in. The resource famine occurred, and the triangulation code was executed deep within your psyche. But you are no longer a helpless infant fighting for scraps of oxygen at that dinner table. You are a sovereign adult, holding the absolute right to dismantle the arena and drop the weights. Reclaim your relational freedom by enforcing two radical protocols of psychological sovereignty today. First, the autopsy of the social spark. When a peer succeeds and envy floods your chest, pause. Place your hands over your chest and command. Their success is not my erasure. There is no famine. I have my own valley, and their victory cannot diminish my right to exist. This disconnects the survival wire, freeing you to finally celebrate with pride. Second, commit to radical sibling reclamation. Stop waiting for your family to validate your place, and stop competing with the ghosts of your past. If your sibling is still trapped inside the childhood software, still trying to outturn you, outboast you, or validate themselves through comparison, look at them through the lens of clinical compassion, not competition. See them for what they truly are. A broken child still wearing the survival mask inside an old cage. Refuse to join the game. Step out of the hierarchy completely and provide your own inner child with the absolute security, the unique worth, and the unconditional validation that your parents failed to evenly distribute. Open your eyes to the silent sculptors of your competition. See the matrix of sibling rivalry for what it truly is, and remember that you don't have to push anyone off the balance beam to deserve your own sovereignty in this world. Thank you for exploring this file of family childhood psychology with human secrets on KSA. If this deep dive into the hidden costs of sibling warfare helped you see your social comparison more clearly, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave your deepest thoughts in the comments below. What niche did you occupy in your childhood ecosystem? And how are you choosing to break the zero-sum grid today? Stay independent but connected. Stay compassionate to your unique timeline, and we will see you in the next chapter.